Yeah, I can record.
There you go. Well, morning. Hey everyone, welcome. It's Juicy Talk. Brrr, pow, 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 pow.
I need a little like,
A little shimmy, our bop. We need a bop.
yes, yeah. I'm gonna come up one.
Okay. All right,
Yeah.
cool. Look, Shay, Ginger used to rap back in her day. Let me not say her wrong. That's the wrong name. Ginger used to rap back in the day.
Yes, I have many personalities, and tonight you get Ginger. Ginger's here for the juicy talk. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome back to another episode. Ready to get into some tea time updates?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. We have some
Okay, all
special
right.
things prepared for today's episode. But first, let us do our tea time segment. So, what tea time is pretty much just updates on what's been going on in the world, what's been going on in Boston, and what's going on with your favorite juice delivery business, Life Juices. So, first thing, let's talk about what's going on in the world. Right now, there is a UN climate conference. It just wrapped up in Dubai, and they're pretty much trying to put efforts together to be able to go more green. And this is great for our planet. This is something that we should be initiating and also thinking about is better ways to be eco-friendly and think about our planet and
Mhm.
just really care for the world that we live in because if we don't, it's going to pretty much perish and we don't want that. So we want to give back to our community, clean it up, keep it going, keep it flourishing. Now for our Boston update. In Boston, they are getting ready now for their annual tree lighting ceremony.
That's
And
exciting.
yes, and I've actually also been to the one at the zoo. They do that every year as well. But these lighting ceremonies are a great way to get into the holiday spirit, take your family, take your friends, spend time with the ones you love, go skating. There's a frog pond there that you can go skating. And so, if you need any local events that's happening in Boston, right on the Boston.gov website, there's an events portion of that where you can see all that they have going on. And trust me, there's always something going on in Boston. And lastly, our Lime Life updates. We actually have two events that are happening very soon. Um, this Saturday, we will be at Four Corners Yoga Studio for a wellness event. That's from 11 to 3. Be sure to check that out on our social media page. We've been promoting it because this is one of the ways actually that you're able to get our juices. You can also get it for pickup and delivery. Don't forget. And lastly, we're doing our Vision and Vibes event. This is happening December 19th. So mark your calendars. Take your calendars out right now and mark them. But not just mark them, get your tickets because you can't get in without a ticket. So you need to get your ticket, mark your calendar. December 19th, we are going to gather around. It's going to be fun. It's going to be vibes. It's going to be networking. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. So stay tuned for that. Check out the website. Get your ticket as soon as possible because there is limited tickets. It's going to be a vibe. All the people that are going to be there, it's just going to be a party and you don't want to miss it. Okay. So
Did you
get your
mention the early bird special?
there's an early bird special. So if you wait too long, there may not be tickets at all. But right now, it's even better for you because you get a discount. So get it, get in on it. Go check out the details. It's
Mhm.
on our Eventbrite, which is our Vision and Vibes Lime Life Juices. And you can also check out the link in our social media. So thank you guys for listening to the tea time updates.
Ding!
Okay.
I think we need like a little bell or like ding. Yeah,
Tea time updates
yeah. So,
by your host, Jenny.
all
Okay.
right, yeah. So, welcome back, guys. Like Jenny said, I am your one of your hosts, Ginger, your favorite spice, the one that you thought you never need. And then, of course, we got Jenny from the block. And, we're from the block. So that's how it
Yep.
goes. Right. So at this time, I feel like we should probably introduce our guests, have them come on. They can introduce themselves, tell them, talk a little bit about themselves, and we can jump right into it. Hello, ladies.
Welcome, ladies.
Hello, hello.
So, can you introduce yourself to the audience, Virginia?
Yes, and if you guys hear a baby in the background, he's right next to me trying to put him to sleep. So it's a motherhood chat. So this is not a prop. Um, so my name's Dania Pena. I've been a financial advisor for 11 years. I'm also just a new mom. He was born in September 30th. But I've always been kind of a mom figure because I've always taken care of my nieces and nephews. But besides that, I like to travel. I like going to the beach. I love to read. Um, and on my spare time, I do enjoy going to my church on Sundays because it's literally up the street. It was a whole story on how that happened. And what else? I'm glad to be here. So thank you for having me.
Hello, hello, hello. My name is Carmen Blyden. I am a leadership coach, cultivating wellness for long term success, owner and CEO of Healthy Energy Actively Living, also known as HEAL. I am a mother of two, a grandmother of about to be three, and I'm loving parenting more that my kids are older and I'm loving parenting less because I'm not done yet. So it's a bittersweet. Being a mom is great, but I'm ready, y'all. I've been a mother since I was 14 years old. So it's been a journey. The journey continues. It really never ends. But I just want to be free. In my free time, I love traveling. I love eating. I am a fitness guru. Like I love fitness, everything. And I also enjoy luxurious bubble baths.
I love it. Yes. Come through luxurious bubble bath with extra bubbles. Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yes,
So,
honey.
yes,
It's happening tonight, right after we finish.
you deserve it. All the luxurious bubbles in that bath. So, yes, this topic is about motherhood, and it's from four different perspectives on motherhood. As you just heard, Danya comes from the perspective of a new mom. Carmen comes from the perspective of being a teen mom, a young teen mom, and we all have our different perspectives. So that's what you're going to get tonight on motherhood, a safe space for us to talk about it. So I'm just gonna jump right in there with some like some things that been like going on, and just like, all right, what does what because I feel like growing up, right? You see you see women who have children, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're mothers,
Right.
right? So I feel like let's all give our definition of what motherhood. How do we all each define motherhood? Carmen, would you like to go first?
That is not something that I've really thought about, but I'm just going to say motherhood is giving a part of me, right? Like motherhood is sacrificial. And so sacrificing time, sacrificing energy, sometimes sacrificing peace. For me, true motherhood is sacrificial.
We are always sacrificing our time, our energy, like wearing those different hats.
Hmm.
You can have plans to go out. We was just talking about this. You haven't been out in a while. Like, let me go hang out. As a mom, that if that child's not feeling good, you taking them clothes right back off. You wiping that makeup right back off, and you getting right back in that bed and you cuddling your homegirls. Where you been? Where you at? FaceTime. This is what it's all about. I feel like Redania, I'll let you go next, but motherhood for me, um, is just what you said, Carmen. Sacrifice is giving a part of you that is when you think you have no more to give, you find something else to give. For me, motherhood, it's a choice. You have to choose to want to be a mother, and that comes with nurturing, that comes with a ton of patience and understanding, that comes with the sacrifice of yourself, but also depending on how you grew up, you can either implement what you know to motherhood and apply that in a great way. So now you're understanding that this child is an investment and you need to get your ROI, and that could come at any time, 18, 21, 35, 45, 55. But that's where that them patience kick in. And if you ain't had patience before, I feel like God tells you the more children you have, the more patience you need. I'm gonna pass the mic.
That is all very true. So the patience and also just sacrificing and giving your time. And to add to that, I would say I would think motherhood also as an educator. So when I became a mom, that's one thing I don't know if it's installed in me from my family, but just now you have this little human. This little human is brought into this earth with an empty mind. And now it's like your turn to make sure you educate them, not just so they can have a good future in terms of a career or what they want to do, but also on how are they going to treat other little humans and other adults and other people around them. So you make sure they're not the bullies at the school, or they're someone that's going to be nice to their adults, the grandparents, anybody around them. Just making sure they have you educate them to be great human, but also how are they going to contribute back to society and make sure they continue to grow on this earth. So when I think of motherhood, I also think of being an educator.
I love what Holly you said. I would agree with everything. And I think for me, thinking about my mother, I think of strength and I think of protection. I think um, you know, we are always have that like almost like motherly instinct, and like we're always doing what's best and just going with literally what we feel we know to be what needs to be done. I guess it just like it's innate. It's like I think when I was pregnant and I was 19 at the time, I have one daughter, she's 11. I was worried about like how would I get it done, and I feel like it's just in you. You just you wake up every day and you may not know how it's going to happen, but you figure it out, and then the next day you're like, oh, I did it. um, so yeah, I see strength and I definitely see being protective for sure.
I think in order for us to even talk about our experiences as motherhood, maybe talk a little bit about how we grew up, what was our experiences with our own motherhood, or our own experience growing up with our mothers. That does that shape or mold you into your experience now as motherhood and the things that you kind of do and considering culture and stuff like that. Me being from the Caribbean, my when my grandmother came to the States, she had four kids, and she was like, her philosophy was like, you guys must do good, you must succeed, you must get an education. And my mom, being the youngest of four, she had a lot of pressure on her, and she wound up pregnant. Imagine, and this would be great for you, Carmen, but I would imagine, I'm thinking as my mom, like a 15-year-old pregnant. How do you tell your mom that you're pregnant? My mom hid her pregnancy until the day I came out. Like, I had to go to she had to go to the hospital, and like only my aunt knew. But funny enough, with my last son Osiris, I hid my whole pregnancy. I was so ashamed and did the same thing. So you see, I just realized how the universe works. But my mom had me at 15, a young teen mom, with a Caribbean parent. And when I say a Caribbean parent, a strict household. Studies is the most important. I mean, they grew up wearing dress, going to church, Bible study. So finding out that my mom was pregnant and had a baby, I felt like my mom raised me more as her friend and not like a mom daughter type of relationship. And I didn't realize that until I got older, when I just needed guidance on certain things. And I felt like I couldn't go to my mom because I'm like, you my friend. Like, you not even my mom. Like, you acting like my friend. And I remember one argument we got into, and I was like, I don't need a mom. I mean, I don't need a friend. I need a mom. And then I was like, I need you to guide me. I need you to tell me I'm wrong, because as a teen mom, she just let me get away with a lot of things. Like, I didn't have no structure as a kid. You got to understand, a 16-year-old. And then my grandmother was strict. My grandmother's like, listen, you still going to school, you not stopping none of your stuff. So I feel like my experience, my mom, so my grandmother raised me, really, to be honest with you, because my mom still had to go to school. My mom still had to focus on her studies. And then my mom ended up getting pregnant with my sister. So my grandmother is like, wait a minute, I'm over here trying to raise your daughter and you get pregnant again. So then my grandmother's like, nope, take your daughter back. So then I go back with my mom, and I'm like, it's different because my grandmother has structure. My mom has no structure. My mom is a teen mom. At this time, she's 18 with 2 kids. You know what I mean? So she's not out here thinking about, you know, making sure her kids are in bed. She's out here trying to chase her baby daddy, like, where he at? So now, knowing my mom's story, realizing how that affected my parenting, I had 4 kids before I was 23. And I'm like, oh, the cycle, realizing that, I'm like, I'm going to make sure the cycle ends. I'm going to make sure that we break the cycle. But my the way I was raised definitely influenced how I raised my kids. And understanding that my mom had a story, and understanding my mom's story influence helped me, but then also definitely influence how things I did not want to do. I raised my kids with structure. I was like, you guys have a bedtime. You like, there's certain things we're gonna do. We're gonna be like almost militant. And um yeah, that's kind of like my way of raising my kids, because I had so lack of. And then when my mom tried to implement, I'm like, shorty, it is too late. It is too late. I only listened to my grandmother. My grandmother at that point was the only one who could discipline me. And my grandmother was getting old. You know what I mean? She's like, I ain't got time for this. So I was taking advantage of it. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, I got old Nana. She ain't gonna be able to chase me. So let me just be out here. And living in the mean street of Boston, I was out here. I was outside. So yeah, I look back now and I'm like, oh, thank God my kids that I know of, knock on wood, are not like me. But at the same time, I started too early, because my mom, I could look back now and say, because my mom started early. So what do you feel, Carmen? I feel like that kind of, my
Yeah.
mom being 14, you being 14, how
Yeah.
can you relate, or?
Absolutely. I got pregnant when I was 13, and I attempted to hide my pregnancy and head straight to the abortion clinic. And my little young and dumb behind went on the wrong day. Okay. So they're like, no, today's not your appointment. And by the time I got home, my grandmother found the paperwork, and so I never told her. She found out, and I was frightened. I mean, I was so afraid. I thought she was gonna whoop my ass that day, okay? But she was actually very happy. My she it was like I became a baby again, and she began to nurture me like I was a baby throughout my pregnancy. Like I didn't have chores stop. I didn't have to cook. No, I mean, I didn't have to do nothing. The way my grandmother took care of me when I was pregnant. And it was interesting because my grandmother was very strict. I was raised by my grandmother. My biological mom died when I was 1 years old. So being raised by my grandmother, who was very strict, I was really surprised. But learning later that that was the age my family started having children, right? So for her, it was a normal thing. My grandmother's from Honduras. My family's from Honduras. My biological mom had her first son at 15. My grandmother had her first child at 15. So for
Carmen,
her,
wait, sorry, Carmen, is this your biological grandmother?
yes. So this is
Okay.
my mother's
My,
mother.
okay.
Yeah. So for her, it was completely normal. And then after I had my son, I didn't have to take care of him. Like she just took over. And my life really changed when she died when he was just 6 months old. And I was 15, and I felt like my whole world turned upside down because now I have to parent, right? Like now I have to be a mom. And my grandmother was like, I got this. You know, you go to school, you do what you got to do. Don't worry about this baby. And so now having to find a parenting style, having to figure out what it was going to look like, I only had that experience with my grandmother. So I was very strict with my son. And especially for him being a Black boy in the city of Boston, my main goal was keep your son out them streets, right? And so from the time he was very small, you know, I was very strict with the way I treated him, the way I behaved him. I was a disciplinarian, right? Like you do what I say, because that's how my grandmother was. Like I didn't get away with much. I was sneaky. I had to sneak. I had to sneak and get that little piece and get pregnant. That was a real sneaky link. Okay. So I didn't get away with much, and I wasn't going to let him get away with much. However, what I realized is raising him the way my grandmother raised me also stripped him of finding himself and learning his voice, and being raised that way also took away my power, right? Like do what I say, as I say, when I say. You're not allowed to voice your opinion. You're not allowed to say how you feel. You're not allowed. Did not grow up in an exploratory world. I grew up learning how to cook, clean, you know, coming from that type of family. This is what women are supposed to do. You need to be able to take care of family and home. And so taking care of my child just kind of came so easy for me because I was raised to be a caregiver. And while I do believe that there were some incredible lessons that I gleaned from my grandma and how she raised me, with my first son, I wish I did things differently because I struggled with confidence growing up. And I know that it's because of the way I was raised. I was told who I was going to be, how I was going to do it, what I was going to do, and was never given a freedom to really come into my own, come into myself. And then becoming a mom at 14, my identity became mom and teenage mom. So I feel like I kind of robbed him of the ability to discover who he was by telling him what he was going to do, how he was going to do it, and so on and so forth. So now with my second son, I had an opportunity to do it different, to say, while there were a lot of great things I learned from my grandma that I still apply in parenting now, like teaching my son how to cook, clean, take care of himself, I also give him so much freedom. And when this is called the authoritative parenting style, right? So in authoritative parenting style, there's that balance of structure and independence. And so he has a very structured home. He has a bedtime. He has to do his laundry. But he also has so much independence to just do what naturally feels good to him and to be nurtured in the things that he is interested in, as opposed to me telling him what his interests are going to be.
I love that. Definitely can relate being from a Caribbean household, no personality, no thought. You're told what to do. As a woman, I was told that you clean, cook for your man, not
That's
for
it.
your household. Like them
That's
kids
it.
come along too, but you better feed that man. You
If
better
you
make
want to keep him,
You better make sure the house is clean.
That's
You better. Ray Danya, what's your experience?
So for me, I was born in Dominican Republic. So my parents both, they're married. They've been together since college. So they both went to college. They both graduated, and they first came to United States themselves, and they brought us over a year later. I'm the oldest of three. So it was a strict household, but not strict to the extent where I will have to cook, clean, and do all the chores. I was still allowed to be a kid. I remember cleaning just because that's I like to be organized. So I guess that's from being small. Um, but we were allowed to be kids, but we did have the structure. We would have to sleep at a certain time. We had time for our homework. We would shower in the morning, shower at night. So we had the structure of being clean, tidy, respectful, but still being able to explore stuff. We did lots of sports as a family. On the weekends, I remember we were that family that would go to church on Sundays. Then we would go eat at a buffet afterwards, and we will go to Jamaica Pond and have like Chinese food picnics or ride our bikes. We did all that. Um, and then even till high school, I still remember that even till high school. And then after college, I don't know what happened, but everybody went their ways, I guess, because we all went to college. And we while we were in school, they also put us in after school programs. So we were in citizen schools, program after school. I did softball. I was in ROTC. So I did different things, but they were strict to the extent where I was never allowed to sleep over any of my friends' house. My first sleepover was probably the day before I got married the first time, and I was like 24. So strict in that sense, strict, I would say strict in a sense of keeping us safe, not
yeah.
strict in the sense of like you better go cook and clean. Um, so both parents, my mom was a teacher since she was in since she was a little girl, and my dad was always an accountant in finance. So I guess that's where I ended up being a financial advisor, and I always like educating. So I guess I ended up with both their genes. um, so I guess in parenting style, as I heard Carmen, I'm glad she mentioned that about being strict and how she was with her first child. Because with my first son right here, I was like, no, this guy, I'm going to put him on baseball camp as soon as he can walk. Because he's so my husband is also Dominican. He's currently in Dominican Republic. We're working on the process to bring him here. So I'm like, oh, you got two Dominican parents. You are going to be a baseball player. So I'm glad Carmen mentioned that because I'm gonna make sure I still let him explore his likes, what he wants to do. I'm still gonna enroll him in baseball, but if he doesn't like it, okay, we'll try something else. But you're not gonna be just twiddling your thumbs in the street. You're gonna figure an activity out. That's the part where I'm gonna be strict, like she said, like make sure you got structure. You're gonna do your laundry clean because when you get married to your wife, I want to make sure that or whatever the kids decide these days. But I hope that's
Put
another.
girl, put wife in the app. Listen,
Okay, yeah, I
speak
wasn't
wife
gonna
over
say
your
nothing,
baby.
but
All right.
yes, thank you. I wasn't gonna say nothing because this is just the, but yes, wife. So okay, I'm glad we're all on the same page about that. So when his wife gets to meet him, that he's a clean person. So I want to make sure I give him structure, education, but also the freedom to explore yourself because since they were also very protective in a sense of not like talking to strangers or staying over a friend's house, I was a bit shy, but I think that was my personality at first. So I had to learn to find my voice also, and also find the confidence. I learned that through my career as a financial advisor to voice myself, communicate myself, and I also learned that through relationships in the past, how to voice what I want, but also learn how to communicate my emotions because I that was not it was a great household, but it was not about communication or emotion. So I had to learn that later on as I grew. So I want to make sure, like, I think one of you guys mentioned, I want to make sure he can come to me
Yeah.
to talk about something that he feels safe talking about and not be scared that I'm going to whip his ass.
Yeah. Redanya, I would say, today, today's kids ain't yesterday's kids. And I don't know what tomorrow's kids is going to be like, and I don't want to find out. But what I will say, right, is right now in the age of technology and AI and all these things, kids are less interested. in doing things outside that actually requires them to get. And so what I'm finding as a mom is, just like you said, you want him to play baseball, and that's fine. Put his ass in there, right? And always be finding different things, because like for my son, he doesn't want to do anything. My son would literally do nothing. And so I have to say, okay, well, I signed you up for this. If you don't like it, we'll give it a try. We'll try something else. But if I leave it up to him, he will do absolutely nothing. And so that's where that authoritative comes in, is, listen, I'm going to give you options. All right, you choose one. But if you choose not to, baby, I'll choose one for you. Right. And that's the balance, like letting them know you have options, but I'm always going to be the mom and the decider, because I want what's best for you. And at this age, you're not thinking about, oh, my future. So if you're not there yet, I'm going to help you get there. Right.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that, because if you think about it, these kids right now, like you said, they just want to be indoors, not even go outside and play.
That's right.
But if you're thinking long term, regardless if the kids stay indoors, there's going to have to be a small percentage of basically the 1% of America later in the future that are going to have to keep up with this technology and keep
Oh,
up with
yeah.
the plumbing, the arc, everything that has to be with living. And only the kids that were like you said, the ones that got the parents with the structure and made them go outside the house are going to be able to do those things that the kids that stayed inside and just twiddled their thumbs or played video games are not going to be able to do, because they didn't have the structure or education that
Right.
we're going to put in our kids. So they can be that 1% that are can be the plumber, can be the doctor, can be the educator, because it's not
Mhm.
going to be just turn on your computer and you're living. Somebody has to maintain these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only I
Absolutely.
will add to that before I let you go, Jenny. I said I would think that my thought process is, I believe I love the word structure. I'm like, I'm your parent. I'm here to give you structure. Um, I didn't have a voice, so I gave my children limited voices. I'm going to be brutally honest with
Mhm.
you. I said, okay, as your mom, I separate things that you want from things that you need. I give you options. At the end of the day, we still going to do something, because the kids don't understand it when they're younger, but they will appreciate it when they get older. I
Absolutely.
believe that it starts in the household, and then you build that foundation in the household, because once they, like you said, once they get into the world with technology, again, I'm coming from a place of, you got to understand, my youngest son is 19. So I have old school parenting. I don't know nothing about these new school kids. So thank God for I don't have that experience, because I just wouldn't know what to do with the kid with a personality at that young age. I'm like, what? You talking back? Oh, you like timeout. You know what I mean? That's just my parenting style. I
Listen.
don't believe in that. Like, you can have a voice, you can say how you feel. That comes with that comes with a very limited space. Don't go out that box and get disrespectful. You know what I mean? But I do agree that structure, I think, is the key word. Like,
Mhm.
we can say strict, because I think there's all types of strict, but I think
Yeah.
structure
Yep.
is what is the key word in that one. You know, Jenny, you
Absolutely.
back?
I'm back, girl. I
All
done
right.
sneezed myself out. I was like, what happened? You
Yeah,
know how you
please.
shut your eyes? I woke I was like, what? I hope I didn't shut it down. Oh, yes. So I'll answer. So my mom, I think about my mom and how she tells me like she didn't have a good relationship with her mother. I never really, like, I met my grandmother, but at that point she had already had dementia. And so we never had a relationship. She passed away maybe like a couple years after I met her. But my mom would always talk about her and say like they literally did not have a good relationship. My grandmother had like, I want to say 9 kids. Um, so my mom was one of 9, and um, I guess like my grandmother just kind of had like favorites, I guess, and uh,
Mm.
she had my mother's like amongst the older of the crew, and I think she just moved on. Like she had more kids, maybe with someone else, and um, I really don't know the story. I just know some of the things my mom says about how she was raised, and it wasn't pretty, like abusive, neglect, so many things. And when I heard the stories like growing up, especially as a kid, it's like my mom's the opposite. Like I don't get any of that from my mother. I mean, typical Caribbean, strict household, but nothing out of the ordinary, especially what she tells me about her mother. So I now in my adult, like looking at it, I'm like, wow, I really commend her for, despite her not knowing the love of a mother, being able to give me that, because I can definitely feel it from her. And I feel like I have like the best mother. You know what I mean? So for her to have such a like traumatic experience with her mother, but be able to not be like that, but to counteract that with literally sacrificing her whole life for her children is commendable. So that's my mom in a nutshell, and her relationship with her mother. And then for me, I got pregnant at 19. Um, and I felt like immediately I felt like a statistic. I felt like I was doomed. I felt like I was gonna fail in life. Like I was always like a go-getter, and I always had visions for my life. I had just graduated high school. I was working at the bank. I had every like good credit score. Like all my stuff was going great. I was like, I could see the future, I could see the future. And I thought I was gonna get married at 30, take a year or two. Like I was comfortable. I was like, me and my man gonna go traveling after the wedding. Oh, this and this. I had so many plans. And when I got pregnant, I didn't know it was that easy. That's the problem. They didn't explain the process too in depth. You're a kid. You don't know nothing about that. So I used to think grinding could get you pregnant, so I didn't do too much of that. But then when I actually did the do, I got pregnant. I'm like, what happened? I don't get how this works. So when I got pregnant, I was like, oh, I'm pregnant for real. I was in denial. I took a test. It said yes. I went to the hospital knowing I was pregnant. I was like, I'm throwing up. I don't know what's going on. They were like, do you think you're pregnant? I was like, I don't think so. I already knew. I just didn't want it to be true because I was not ready for this. And I had to tell my parents, and I actually wasn't the one to tell them. I couldn't. I was too scared. I couldn't do it. So at the time, the one of my coworkers at the bank, it was an older Haitian lady. I felt safe with her, and so I took her with me to my house, and I was like, "You tell my mama," and she did. And my mama just kind of hit me with that. I knew it. This was gonna happen. Like I just remember, like and I don't know where this comes from, but like when I was a virgin, my parents already assumed that I was having sex. So I don't think that it. I think that it became like something that like it didn't matter because it's like if you're already accusing somebody of something they ain't do, you already think I'm already doing it. So if there's no point of, holding on to it, it's already gone in your eyes, So I was technically a virgin, but while they were accusing me of not being one, I did have like, crushes and things like that. I just never took it all the way. And so now that, I did and I got pregnant, it was like, I knew this was going to happen. And I'm like, little do you know, I've been prude this whole time. I was like, with this one time. And my dad had said something that really stuck with me and still sticks with me today. And I'll leave it at that. He just looked at me and there was this like, he has this way of having like disappointment written all over his face to where he don't even gotta touch you. He don't gotta say nothing, but just his demeanor is like, oh, you're so ashamed. And you're like, oh, I disappointed my daddy. It's like, it sucks. And he was just like, oh, you're an adult now. And it just sucks. Like, it just sucks. Like, you just took away your childhood and now you're an adult. And I was like, I don't know what he talking about because at 18, I thought I was I was like, I got my driver's license. I got a job, a 700 credit score. I've been an adult. I don't know what he talking about. And Lord, did I find out. So I found out the hard way. And what I found out, I think it was a moment, like Shay said, where you're like going out, you're getting all ready, you gotta go. And then it's like, I think my mom was like, I'm not staying with her. I was like, so who's staying with her? I was like, where you gotta go? You ain't got nothing to do. But I had to be a mom that day, and everybody else was out having fun and doing what kids do and teenagers do, young adults do, and I was doing what adults do. I was at home making a bottle, changing a diaper, calculating my budget, just doing a whole bunch of adulting that I was not ready for. I wasn't ready for it. But thank God for the support of my family because I wouldn't be here without it. It literally takes a village.
Yeah. That's so funny because we all come from a Caribbean background. So, like, we all have different forms of structure, but that structure is like there, you know what I mean? And that is really funny. Ray Danya, from a new mom's point of view perspective, how do you think the way you was raised will influence you on how you raise your newborn? Is it a boy or girl?
Oh boy.
A boy. Now, how do you think that will influence you on how you raise your son, with you and your husband?
It's so funny. Since you guys were saying ages, my mom had me. I'm the first in her 30s, mid to late 30s. She was 30. I forgot how old, but she was mid to late 30s. I was 35 going to 36, so it happened the same way.
See?
And
See?
then you guys were talking about your grandparents. Both my grandparents on both my family side, they both were still married. The grandparents, mom and dad, and then the same situation with my parents and then me. So it's crazy how that thing just flows. Um, so how the parenting style is going to influence me. Like we said earlier, the structure, 100%, the cleanliness, the organization, education first. My sister, she's the youngest. I'm the oldest. So I always thought, like Jenny said, I was like, oh, I'm gonna graduate college, get married, have kids. Yeah, no, I ended up getting married to my high school sweetheart. And after graduation in college, that didn't work out. It lasted only a year. Then I ended up having my first child at 35, about to be 36. Um, First I got pregnant, then we got married. So it didn't work how I thought. But watching my sister be a mom and how she's educating her 4 kids, um, it surprised me because I thought I was gonna be like that. She's very structured. She has like they're being taught since as soon as they're before they're even one. She has all these programs. Um, she's very structured. She has routine. And then my brother, he was in the army, so he raised his kids like military style, but very free. Because she's
Mm.
like, I'm gonna make sure my kids are tough, so they won't get bullied and they can defend themselves. While my sister's more of the educator. And then my parents also then educating, but still leaving us some freedom. So I feel like I'm gonna have a mixture of both my parents and my siblings. So as soon as my son was born, I made sure that I was not tiptoeing in the hospital and I was talking loud. The lights were on. Like I made sure that he was comfortable with noise. Because my brother taught me that because his 2 daughters, he can vacuum, they can clean, they have loud music, and those kids are knocked out. So I was like, I want a kid like that because I like to clean. So now
Exactly.
him in the hospital, loudness. Now when we come home, I be vacuuming, I clean, I listen to music. So I feel like I've learned a little bit about structuring and just parenting style for my siblings and my parents. And then also seeing what other parents did that I don't want to do. So now I'm not gonna do that. So
So,
I'm
would
learning.
you consider yourself a free range parent or like free range or strict?
It's funny because I feel like I would be more of the stricter one. My husband will be more of the softy.
Yeah.
He's 11 years older than me. I'm younger. He already has kids back in Dominican Republic and Spain. So he's more of the, I want to just cut your cheeks, be sweet. I'm more like, no, we're going to put him in baseball camp. But I'm gonna be a little bit sweet too. He's more of the sweet emotional. I'm more of the tough but sweet at the same time, but a little bit more structure.
Do you think because he's a boy, or that's just your parenting style?
I think it's my parenting style because I help. So I have four nieces and two nephews. I lose count. It's a lot these days. But I am known as the aunt. They like to have fun with me, but they know that when I give them a certain face without me even speaking, they know to behave. So for example, my niece in Florida, when she knows I'm coming over, she tells my brother, "Ooh, Ray Ray's coming over. You better fix that. You better do that." Because she already knows how I am. They know I can have fun. They enjoy being around me. I take them to the beach. We have so much fun. But they also know I'm very strict to certain things.
Yeah,
So I guess I'm in the middle.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Carmen, what about you? I know you talked about it a little bit. Your parenting style. I feel like like you mentioned, you have an older son and you have a younger son. So I almost would imagine, obviously, raising them will be different. But how do you think? Touch on it a little bit again. The way you was raised, how it affect your parenting style, but in both situations. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, yeah, before healing and after healing. You know what I mean?
Big time. Big time. I had to heal from the parenting that I experienced, for sure. And that doesn't mean it was bad parenting. It means that it stripped me of my identity, right? And so healing was me reconnecting with my true self so that I can reclaim my voice, right? And rediscover who I truly am and what I'm truly meant to do on this earth. And so with my first son, I believe that because he was parented the way I was parented, it kind of helped made him struggle to find his place in the world, right? Made him feel like he was bouncing around, but it also impacted our ability to have a strong connection because I was so focused on him doing what I said that I never really took time to listen to him and to understand him and to nurture him. I wasn't a nurturing mom. I was you heard me, right? You know, and I can definitely see how it impacted our relationship even as he grew older. Like my grandmother wasn't a nurturing grandmother, until I got pregnant. And then she became all the nurturing, right? But prior to that, she was not that nurturing person. I'm grateful to say I felt her nurture, in the last couple years of my life, having my son. But prior to that, I didn't have that. And I did not know how to give something that I didn't have. So in healing is where I recognized what I didn't give my son. And my son is now 27. However, I'm always going to be his mom. And I'm still parenting him. I'm the one he calls when he needs to figure some things out. And being able to now have that conversation with him and apologize, letting him know, like, I wasn't the mother that you needed. I was the mother I thought I had to be for you. And while there were some great things that came out of that, like me keeping you out them damn streets, keeping you out of jail, keeping you alive, which is unfortunate that as moms of color, that is one of our greatest rewards is, keeping my son alive. My son made it to 18. It's horrible that we have to wear that as a badge of honor, but that's our reality, right? But now being able to have that conversation with him and give him space now, like he'll come to me like, "Mom, I want to talk about something," and I might not agree. But I sit there and I listen to my son because now he's rediscovering his voice and we're rebuilding our relationship. But with the second one, deciding that I'm going to raise him from a healed space, now I'm really suffering because this kid is off the hook. He talks back. He speaks his voice. He can tell you what it is and what it isn't. And because I want him to go into the world. Huh?
It sounded a little staticky. Is it just me?
No,
Can you hear
yeah,
me?
I can hear you now, but just starting to break up a little bit, babe.
Yeah, you were breaking up a little bit. Repeat.
And
All
you
right,
were
let me
saying
make
some
sure I'm
good
close to
stuff.
the mic. I said as a mom, parenting from a healing place makes parenting a lot more challenging for me because there are times I want to, but I have to breathe. And I have to remind myself that he is voicing his opinion and that he deserves to have a voice and that he deserves to question some of the decisions I make. Like last night, he was showing me something and I didn't understand it. So I said, well, what is it? He said, you need to read. And I was like, so when he steps into the world, I want him to step into the world confident and powerful, never dimming his light, never shrinking in order to make others like him, but being his full authentic self and being okay with people not liking him. And so I have to deal with the brunt of that at times with letting him feel like it's okay if my mother don't agree with me. It's okay if she gets upset with me. I'm gonna say what I gotta say. And I want him to have that because I don't want him to ever feel like someone holds more power than him. Now, granted, I do. And sometimes I have to exercise that power, but I also learned how to exercise that power with love. I don't have to scream and yell. I don't have to spank him to get my point across. I can say what I need to say, explain myself, allow him to state how he feels, and then it's done. And so as a healing mother, because I ain't healed, but as a healing mother, it is a lot more challenging to parent as a healing mother because you have to break up with the person you used to be. You have to kill off that person that says, I'm in charge of you, so that we can teach our children how to be in charge of themselves, right? Like when they go into this world, we want them to be powerful in their decisions, powerful in their thinking. And if as parents, we're always thinking for them, telling them how they should be thinking, what they should be doing, how they should be talking, they'll never be able to fully show up as themselves in this world. So it is hard. It's hard every day because my son is very opinionated, very talkative. If you ever met him, you will say, well, whose kid is this? Everybody
How old
asks.
is he?
He is 12.
Oh, okay. So we got that 11,
Yes.
12 range. I
Yes.
know that range.
Yes, so often I have to say, we're gonna end this conversation, Gabriel, because mommy's getting really upset. And I don't want to go off, and he'll be like,
I
all
mean,
right.
who's the parent here? Because it's feeling like you're talking to me like I'm a child.
The other day he was saying something and I was like, well, he said,
My daughter did that to me. I said,
I
she
had to
hit me
turn
with
my
the,
head.
she hit
Yeah.
me with the shh.
Oh, he does that all the time. You know what though? I'll take this over this. Okay. Like he literally like, shut your mouth. Okay. And I had to turn my head and say a short prayer because the older version of me would have immediately, right? So I turned my head. I said, God, give me strength. And I looked at him and I said, I'm going to ask you one time. Don't ever in your natural life do that to me again. Because if you do it again, I'm not responsible for what happens after. Now we can continue this conversation. So, like, sometimes you got to lay it down, but I want to be able to do it in love. And so it's been a struggle. Don't get me wrong. And let me tell you something. I don't always win. So, because sometimes I go off. Okay. A disclaimer. So, and then I have to come back and apologize to him. Like, you know what? I shouldn't talk to you like that. But you went too far, brother. You know? So I think just learning how to have that open communication, even like Radanya was saying, there was not really communication or emotions. And I think if we start to do that with our kids, communicating how we feel, like when you said that, I really didn't like that. It hurt me, and I'm going to ask you not to talk to me like that. It also shows them, it mirrors for them, like 'cause we are mirrors for them. So it mirrors for them. How do I let somebody else know I don't like that? And he lets me know straight up, like, Mom, don't do that, please. And I have to respect it. So that's where I'm at. Pray
You
for
know,
me.
it's a girl. I would light a candle. It's so funny because I can relate when I was raising my kids, I was in my unhealed phase when they were
Yeah.
younger. And when they started becoming teenagers, that I was in my healing phase. And trying to balance the two was a lot because they're in that teenage phase. And I have
Oh,
4 kids with personalities. And imagine, I'm like, oh no, shut it all down. Like that was my way. Like I look back on parenting and I'm like, instead of giving them all an individual voice, I just put them all under one umbrella and just shut. It was easier for me to parent that way versus like, all right, let me hear your let me hear you, because having 4 different opinions coming at you. And again, you have to remember, I'm coming from a place where kids, you're seen, you don't speak. Like when
yep.
adults are talking, you don't speak. You're not even in the same room. A child should stay in a child's place. Now, if I can go back, not go back because I'm always parenting. So now my style of parenting with my children is I'm like, all right, let me woosah. Let's talk about it. How did this make you feel? When I said this, it made you feel that. We talk about it. We are able to apologize, take a moment to say, you know what, right now I'm upset. Give me a moment. Let's come back to this conversation. Let's revisit this. But now that my children are older, Osiris is 19, the twins are 20, and Jalen's 23. It's so much easier to have a dialogue with them because just like you said, Carmen, they want to be heard as well. So I just take the time. I'm like, all right, well, let me hear what you have to say. And then as long as it's not bull crap, we can talk. But if you're talking bull crap, I'm shutting you down. No, we're not doing that. And bull crap to me is just fluff because these kids, in my opinion, nowadays, my 20-year-olds, my twins, they they are so sensitive in how you speak to them. Like I have to be very mindful on how I talk to them. Like my youngest son, I can say, if you don't get your shit together, he'll be like, all right, all right, mom, all right, mom. But then my twins, I have to say, Malachi and Trinity, can we consider your thought process and the choices that you're making and the consequence that it led you to? Do you see the steps that you took and how it led you to this place? And are you able to process? Like, it's a whole different conversation with them because they receive it differently. And my oldest, Jalen, he's my experiment child. You know what I mean? Like we done been through everything together. I just look at him. He look at me and he be like, all right, mom. I'm like, all right. Cause we just have that we don't gotta speak. You know what I mean? My firstborn. So I totally understand. Like now my parenting style now is I give them space to speak. And I do have that fine line of you can speak your opinion, but you have to be respectful. And respectful for me is your tone. Watch that tone. Watch that tone and your body language. Like you can be upset, you can even slouch, but that rolling of the eyes and all, we're not doing that. We gonna be respectful, and we not cursing. Jalen, he said a damn word. I said, hey, oh, I know you're 23. We because he said damn and shit. I said, oh, wait. I can handle a damn. I can't handle a shit. I was like, I know you're trying to express yourself and you upset. I said, but son, our boundaries is I'm still your mom, and when we talk, you have to be respectful in how and when you express yourself. You can express yourself, but we have to be mindful of the curse words. So that's where I'm at now because I'm like, I'm your mom, I'm not your friend. And with your friends, you can do all the cursing you want, but with your mom, watch it. So yeah, Jenny, how would your, the way you was raised, how do you think that affects how you raise Ari now, your style?
Yeah, I actually think back to this time where I had to discipline Ari. She had it was like she was but young but old enough to know better. And so she spat on one of like her cousins, one of my other nieces, and they came and they were like, Auntie Jenny, Ariella spit on me. And I was like, what? Like, I was so pissed because I'm like, we're raising our kids to be respectful humans, and how dare her do something so disgusting? And, like, I don't want her to think that's okay, right? So I got to nip it in the butt immediately. And I ran to what it's almost like a Haitian timeout, right? It's you're on your knees for Lord knows how long. There is no time limit. It's just go in the corner. We'll come back to you when we remember. So I kind of did that. I felt so bad doing it. But even after I did it, I was like, why did I do that? And it's because that's all I knew. Like when I was a kid, that's what my mom did, right? When she got mad, or she went other measures. But I'm trying the gentle parenting thing. Like I'm trying it. I'm like, let me try to. How can I do this without putting my hands on her? How can I do this? And I also remember the transition of me growing up, like from I got beat, right? But then there was a transition of like, you're older now, it don't phase you, right? So let's just take things away from you. And technology was a new thing. So it was like we was just getting hit to like the sidekicks, and everything was being all cool and stuff. And I had that stuff and my parents took it away, and I was like, damn, I almost wish they would have hit me, because they hit you and they're done. But they take away your stuff. Again, they're not even telling you how long. They're not giving you like, oh, you'll get it back in a day or two. Like they just take it. They just privilege gone. Look, when you get a job, you get a new one type stuff. Like they don't care. They don't give you no independence, especially when you mess up. When you mess it up, it's like, oh, you thought it was sweet? No, like I remember I did something. My dad picked me up from school. So from pretty much, I went to school from 8 to 2. He picked me up at 3, dropped me off with my mom. From 3 to 11, stayed with my mom, brought me back home. Why? Because they couldn't trust me. I couldn't be trusted. Like I couldn't be outside, right? So I just remember always doing stuff to where they're like, damn, we got to reroute. Like we got to figure this out. We got to get Jenny in line, right? And so that was me like figuring this thing out. I'm like, let me resort to what I know, like get in the corner. But now I am trying the gentle parenting. Gentle parenting for me, it may not be the real gentle parenting or whatever, but it's just like really talking to my daughter, having her understand what it is I'm trying to teach her, because I feel like, I grew up very like, don't do this, don't do that, but never really explaining the consequences of the action, or why, you're thinking this way. What was your experience, mom, with this thing that now you feel this way or whatever? So I give her all of it, and I literally do it in a sense of like, look, you can decide to not listen to me, but that just wouldn't be wise. So I give it to her like that. I feel like the more real, the more raw, the more open I am with her, I feel like that will be her success in a sense, because then she knows she can come to me. I feel like the conversations I've had with her is, she don't got to worry about what we talk about, like everything, like she can feel safe. I remember last year I said to her, I said, so we're driving home from school, and I said, who's your crush? And she goes, I don't have a crush. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm just driving or whatever. And mind you, I didn't know how to bring this up. Like, I didn't know how to talk. I'm like, I don't know how to talk about sex. And I'm like, she's a kid. Like, I don't know what to talk. Like, how do we bring this up? Is this the right time? Da, da, da. It's so many different things going through my mind. Like, this conversation is awkward even for me, right? So I'm like, okay. I'm like, no problem. Then she's like, well, there is this boy. And I'm like, oh, there's a boy. So now I'm like, let me listen. I don't want to seem excited because we don't want that to be a thing. But then I also want to be open minded and hear, let's hear about this boy. So I said, okay, well, what do you like about the boy? His hair. I said, oh, okay. Anything else? No, just his hair. I'm like, oh, okay. The boy moves. I'm like, oh, thank God. I'm like, oh, thank God. He's gone out of the picture. Now there's a new one. I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, it's always going to be another boy. But I let her know, I showed her like a plate of rice. I was like, look, this boy that you liking right now, he is this half of a grain of an inch of a rice compared to everybody else that you're gonna meet. So don't get stuck on, your crush. I'm like, it ain't nothing right now. Y'all don't, I make it like it's not serious. It's just for fun. Y'all are just cooling, getting to know each other. Friendships are cool, but anything more than that, you have to wait till you're an adult and you really want to focus on school right now. And I just give her the advice that I think that I will want to have when I was young is like literally how I go about it. I look at Ari as little Jenny, and just go from there. Look, I'm figuring it the fuck out every day.
You know what's so scary, because it's like once the kids enter into the world, once they go to school, they're out of your control, and all like the world has the influence on them, and it's like setting that foundation at home, because once they leave out of your control, out of your sight, once they leave home, they're now in this world. One of my friends, her parenting style, her child I think is 8, and her son doesn't have a phone, but then his friend has a phone. So then now the kid feel no. Not only does the kid have a phone, he has an iPhone watch. So then now her son wants one, only because he's seen his friend with one. And so then the kid says to her like, well, don't you want me to be safe? And she's like, what? He's like, yeah, he has a phone because his mom wants him to be safe. It's like,
That's not how that works. Aren't you safe right now?
right. But then the funny thing about it is that, God forbid, when the kid get into something, the kid first instinct is not even to call. One out of like 10 kids is not gonna call. Like maybe one kid, but that's not their natural. Oh, let me call my mom. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I just thought that was I thought that was funny. Jenny, how do you think your parenting, how do you balance work life and motherhood? Like being an entrepreneur, you wear many hats, you're a hustler. How do you find that balance? What does that balance look like? What does self-care, like how do you make sure that you are the best version of yourself so you're able to gentle parent Ariella?
Ah, that's a great question. I
Yeah.
feel like that's something that I'm still figuring out. For the most part, I think my key to success, I guess, is to always. So I had this. It was almost like an experiment for me when I was doing my little YouTube during COVID. Me and Ari was bored, and we did a YouTube video, and it's like a yes day where all day you say yes, right? And I didn't tell her that I was gonna say yes to everything, but I did. And I just remember being very free that day. It took away the decision anxiety. Like I knew that all I had to do was say yes, right? And there were certain things that she asked for that I will say no to, like sweets and um I mean, mostly that was it. But everything else was like go to the park. Like one of the things she was like, "Can I get a hug?" Like, "Yes, like I want to hug you." Just before this call, she was like, "Play with me." And I love that because she's 11, but she's like preteen. So, like, especially at this age, I feel like anything that she wants to do that's like still kiddish, yes, like, let's do it because sometimes she doesn't have that. Like, she's like, in the preteen, like, oh no, I don't want to do like that's kiddish. And it's like, no, like you are a kid. I love do kid stuff. So the fact that she was like, "Can you play with me?" I'm like, "Yes." Like I was like, "I only got 30 minutes, but yes." Like so I find myself always trying to say yes to her in particular because I know that I'm going to show up in everything else. I'm going to say yes to all the other stuff. I'm going to go out when I need to, work when I need to and do all these things. But with her, it's like I feel like as long as I get through her necessities, I feel like, okay, I did my job, but that's not enough. Like just to feed her, just to get her to school, make sure she did her homework, like kind of the check boxes is like, that's not enough. Like I have to actually spend time with her. I got to talk to her on the ride. Like I used to have this thing where I would talk to other people on the phone while I was either picking her up or dropping her off from school. And I stopped doing that, or I tried to at least, because now I'm like, at least, because if we don't have much time together, that sometimes be the only 20 minutes that we can get in. So let me give her my undivided attention so that I can catch up on what's really going on with her. And I ask her a lot of hard questions. Ever since she was a kid, I've always talked to her like she was an adult. Like I have conversations with her and I'll say words like, that I feel like I'm talking to an adult literally. And I'll say to her, like, do you understand these words? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Because I want her to be able to have a level of intellect that's not like I'm dumbing things down for her, because she's going to, grow into a woman and understand all these different things. So I try to give it to her straight up. And I'm like, if you don't get what I'm saying, like, stop me, like, and I'll be like, repeat what I said, or, oh, you understand that word? What does it mean? You know what I mean? So I'm always quizzing her and making sure she understands what I'm telling her, because I only want what's best for her. And I think I've made that very clear to her. So she knows that I'm not trying to be mean in any way when I say no. I'm not trying to be like, I'm not with the sleepovers either. Certain things I'm just not going to do, but I do want her to have freedom, and I want her to be able to, be a kid. That's the biggest part. I want her to be a kid. So I don't want to put that restriction to where she don't feel like she could, be free. So yeah, that's how I do it. That's how I balance it.
That's great. It's funny because with me having 4 kids, the kids will want to see, but I'm like, it's enough of y'all already here, and you want to try to add somebody else's kids? No. Y'all not going over there and they ain't coming over here. Y'all got enough cousins.
What my daughter did the other day? She took, and I'm like, she's probably been doing this whole time, and I didn't know. She's been taking snacks to school for her friends. I'm like,
oh, she out here feeding. Okay.
Not in this economy. I cannot be feeding your friends. Carmen, I'm taking this for my friend because she's gonna be hungry. I'm like,
well, let her be hungry.
It is what it is, I guess. I'm like, 2 lemon bats. No.
She can only eat every Monday and Thursday. Golly.
You gotta share with your friend then. That's what you
then I'm gonna be hungry. Make a choice. Carmen, how do you find that balance, being especially, Carmen, you're a coach, you know what I mean? You give yourself so much to people, and how do you find that balance of, work life, parenting, you're a grandma. Is a grandma? Is that what Ma? How do you find that balance? How do you make sure you continue to show up for yourself?
One is, understanding what balance means, right? And so often people means balance is making sure you have enough time and energy to do all the things. And that is not what balance is, right? Balance is making space and time for what matters, right? And so often when you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, frustrated, it's because you're out of balance. Balance is a feeling, right? Like, so it's how do you feel? And if you feel like you're being stretched, it's because you're out of balance. And so for me, it's choosing what's important, right? Like if it's not important, if it doesn't align with my values, if it doesn't align with my vision for my life and for my family, then I can't do it. And so just really setting those boundaries around what I can and cannot do, setting boundaries around how I show up for myself. I work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5:30 a.m. I'll wake up at 4:30. I do my reading and writing. My son will yell down, "Ma," at 5:45. I totally ignore him. I don't even answer him because this is my time. So I set boundaries with my kids. I said, if my son calls, Mom, at that time I'll be in my bubble bath. I cannot help you. And not being afraid to stand firm on your boundaries is what really helps you to stay balanced. I try to sit down and have dinner with Gabriel at least 2 to 3 days a week. And usually it's Tuesday and Thursday. And so before I jumped on here, me and Gabe sat and we had dinner together and we talked. I think the world sets a very unrealistic view of what parenting should look like. Oh, you should be having dinner at the table with your kids every night, and you should be reading to your kids every night. That's not realistic for parents like us. And so as a mom, stay in your lane, right? Don't worry about how other people are doing it and what looks good to them. You have to focus on what feels good for you, right? If you know you're a mom, then you know those kids matter. They didn't ask to be in this world. And so you have to say, even though I have all these other things going on in my life, what time do I carve out for me and my kids? Me and Gabriel sit on the floor and we play Uno twice a week. As busy as I am, I will shut everything down to play Uno with Gabe and to have dinner with Gabe because those things matter. Right. When the weekend comes, basketball practice, I'm there. And even if he's practicing and I may be on my phone, I'm present, I'm there, I'm watching. When I take him swimming, I'm watching. And he's looking to make sure I'm watching. As soon as I'm like, but I have to understand is what I tell people, and when I'm coaching with my clients, is we have to make use of these smartphones. A lot of us have smartphones and play dumb. Okay. Everything that you know that you want and need to do for yourself and your family, put it on your calendar. Like don't treat the important things in your life as if they are space holders, right? Because they are priorities. So even for cleaning my house, I have a day that I clean, a day that I do laundry. I don't do anything. If it's not that day, I ain't do. If you come to my house any day after that and it's a mess, you should have came here the day I was cleaning. Don't worry all that, right? But growing up, I had to clean like every day. And so learning how to say, this is what works best for me. But again, going back to putting everything on your calendar, and then anything outside of that has to be worked around those things that's on your calendar, right? And you can choose if you need to move things around, but having things in their place is what helps you to stay balanced and in standing firm on those boundaries, standing firm on those commitments that align with your values and your vision for your life is the main way, the most important way to feel balanced.
Yes, sis. Yes. Ray Danya. Oh, did you hear the question, babe? Okay. So how do you now as a new mom, we're talking from our experience, 27 years, 11, 13 years, we got some experience. So you as a new mom, what what does that look like for you, or are you still trying to figure out that balance? And I guess ideally what would you want it to be, or what is it now with the a newborn child? Like how do you still keep Raydania feeling good and self-care, and what does that mean to you? How do you identify it?
It's so funny because you guys are witnessing it right now. So this is part of what I always like doing. I like being in women networking groups. I like talking to other women. I like just surrounding myself with people with like-minded thoughts. So I didn't stop that. I just had to learn how to multitask, depending on the appointments. Like if certain things were required, I would just see if my mom can help. But being a new mom and only being a mom for not even 2 months, my balance really got tested. Oh my goodness, it was very tested. I've always been about like the calendar, the planner, writing things down, having a structure. And then, yeah, no, that went out the window when I became a mom. I thought like it's funny. My friend at the hospital gave me a journal and she gave me some stickers with some really funny things that you could put in the journal. So the first week I was home, I tracked when he slept. I tracked when he changed the diaper. I tracked when he ate, how many ounces, any weird stuff. To the journal, the first pages was structure, times and days. Then that was the first week. The second week with that balance, that went out the window. It was a whole different child the next week.
Yes.
And I was crying my ass off. It was like I was bawling 'cause I was like, I don't know what to do. I was stressed out. And then I learned Facebook has a lot of mom groups, and the 30s moms group, the Rosendale moms group. So I joined all those mom groups. And one thing I noticed that all these moms are just as stressed out too. It's like it's like reading Cosmopolitan on Facebook for mom stuff. It was very interesting. So how I'm learning to so you guys so it was that was the first 4 weeks. The first month was very, very hard in terms of balance because I'm self-employed, so I don't get maternity leave. So I have to make an income. My husband's still overseas, so it's just me and my parents help me out, but trying to find the balance to take care of him and work at the same time, it was a lot of crying and errors and fixing. And then I finally learned talking to a friend that even if I just have 30 minutes of, if I just have increments of little stuff throughout the day, it's still a successful day. I don't
Right.
have to do like the hours I used to do before because that's just impossible. He wakes up every 2 hours to eat. He eats every 2 hours. And if there's no one around me to help or if someone else is busy, I don't want to just dump my child to someone. I have to take care of him. It's my responsibility now. So I've learned to be as resourceful with the time where he's sleeping. So I'll do my best works in the morning, and I also pay attention to myself. So if we had a rough night, I'm like, nope, I gotta take a nap. I can't work because then I'm not gonna be the best for my clients. How am I gonna help you organize your finances when I can't even talk to you? So I've learned 30-minute increments. I also learned how to schedule certain clients at certain times. I know on Mondays I can't talk to nobody because I just got off the weekend. I need to reset for the week. Um, and then, so 30-minute increments, I've learned that in balance and how I also keep time for myself. I finally was able to read my book yesterday for the first time since giving birth. That was a luxury. I was like, whoa, I get to read in bed while you're sleeping. So now he's sleeping 3 hours. And I was like, what? So I don't get as tired because when I was pregnant, he would wake me up in the belly every 2 hours to go pee. So I guess I've learned how to function in that way. So as long as I get 3, 4 hours consistent sleep and some maybe a nap in between, and some days I don't nap, I can function. um so I like to sneak in a read, so I have to make choices and like what's important for the day, so it's a daily thing. So for the day, depending on how his schedule is, I'm like, okay, do I choose to send this stuff to the client, or do I choose to take a shower, or do I choose to eat first or clean the bottles? So I kind of figure out throughout the day what's most important. And every time, the luxury of what my day would be like at the end of the day, I get to shower with this Aveeno lavender stress relief of shower gel. Oh my god, that thing is amazing because I'm a perfume collector, so I really haven't been able to wear my perfumes because he's so small. So that shower gel is like my perfume. Is amazing. So I try to sneak in that shower with that shower gel twice a day, and then I get to read a book now. So that's I try to take a day at a time in increments and just be happy and with the little successes I have in the day. Because I was just always so about the big picture that I forgot the little things, and then you would stress out so much,
Yeah.
especially if you're trying to figure out how to feed a child. I didn't know how hard breastfeeding was going to be. I had to give that up for my mental health.
Yeah.
And then I had to be okay with that. And that was very hard. So being a new mom in this new 2024 world, there's so many pressures. And I think just finding the small success every single day and not having like such a strict structure of what you want your day or week to look like. Just take it day by day. That's the little trick or recommendation I would give. Take it day by day in small increments.
Yeah, I love that. I can say that now. Like I remember when my kids were smaller, I was trying to figure it out day by day, minute by minute. Having four kids at a small age, it was a lot. And I remember a part of my structure was for I'm sorry, not structure, but for part of my time when they were younger, like I used to make my kids bedtime was like maybe 9 o'clock or something. And then I remember meeting this woman and she's like, girl, them kids should be in the bed by 7. So you can have your you time. No, she said 8. She said them kids should be in the bed so you can have your you time. You can wind down. Girl, them kids was in the bed by 7. I was like, y'all in the room wind down. This is mommy time, put some TV on at that time and like really wind down. So I definitely remember like that was one of the ways that I was like, because having four kids I was overstimulated all the time. So I'm like, I just need to calm down so I can sleep, get some proper rest for the next day. And that was one of the key tips. It's like, girl, don't give kids need to go to bed early. I was like, done. And so and then that means like bath time, like not eating foods after a certain time, so you're not worked up, you're actually winding down and things like that. So it took all of that, cooking by a certain time so you can eat by a certain time so you can go to bed by a certain time, so now your belly's full, so now you just want to go to bed, you know what I mean? But then also playing during the day so you could be so worn out. So yeah, I remember having that time. And then I did a lot of play dates, y'all. I was like, I want to find other parents who have kids, so they can just be at the park. Like the park was our thing. I raised my kids in Georgia, so the weather was always nice. Like you can have birthday parties at park. Like we did everything at a park. So that was like really one of my times. Like, all right, let the kids go be with kids, and then let parents over here talk, because I only was talking kid language for a very long time. And I was like, I want to have adult conversations. I want to be around adults, and I want to talk about adult movies and not just always talk about Bob the Builder and, Elmo at the time was popping, Tickle Me Elmo. So Toys R Us and all that kid stuff. So, yeah, I can relate to what everybody's saying. And Carmen, yeah, now as my healed self, I'm still growing, but on this side of the track, boundaries are important. I even shut down my phone at a certain time. Like my kids know do not disturb goes on at 9 o'clock. So talk to me before 9 or at 7 in the morning. Like either, those are my times. So yeah,
I do not disturb is on right now. Okay.
Yes, yeah. So this was really awesome. This was a great conversation. At the end of it, we have like a juicy topic. Jenny, how does it go? How does that go?
So it's juicy confessions. I feel
Juicy
like I want to
confessions.
kind of I want to kind of flip the script on y'all. I don't know how you feel. How you feel about that?
Flip it, girl.
Flip it. All right, all right. I feel like we should do a game.
Oh.
Two truths and one lie. How you feel about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Can you guys think of something real fast? You guys
Well,
know
you start first, so then while you're starting, I'll go and then the other two could think of it. Yeah.
Okay. So true truths and a lie. All right. First is I have 4 siblings. I graduated in 2011 and
Graduated what?
high school. I graduated high school in 2011 and I climbed a mountain.
So what we got to do, figure out what's the truth.
Which one's the lie?
Oh, there's 2 truths and 1 lie.
Exactly.
Girl, you ain't climbed no damn mountain. Blue hills don't count. You ain't climb. That's
that is a mountain. You see it from my house. You can see it.
Okay, I actually know I know the lie.
Okay, so what do you think, Carmen?
This is so hard. All right, well, say it again. You climbed the mountain, you have 4 siblings.
And I graduated high school in 2011.
You didn't graduate high school in 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lie.
What about you, Big Danya?
I'm like trying to count your siblings in my head right now. I feel like you don't have 4 siblings. I'm forgetting someone, I guess.
All right, so yes, I do not have four siblings. I technically have five. I'm one of six. I'm the
I
baby.
thought it was six. Don't your father got two other daughters?
So I'm one of six.
Oh, okay.
So I'll explain. So it's it's five of us girls, and then I had a brother. He passed. But so my mom has three girls and a boy, and then my two other sisters, which are from my dad's side. So yes. So that
I'm
was the lie. I technically have five siblings.
Yeah, I'm like, girl, blue hell don't you ain't count. Oh, I climbed the
Well,
mountain. Oh,
I
you want
did
to
count a
seem
mountain.
Mount Everest.
It was called Mount Monadnock or something in New Hampshire. It's like 2 hours away. It was like a 3 hour climb. That counted, girl.
Nah,
Like,
I'm not knocking it. As long as
look,
it's blue
the
hell,
the thighs was dying that
dying.
day. I literally died. I was like, yo, what?
That's
I wore
crazy.
my watch. It said like I did pretty much I worked out for the week.
It's the best workout in the world.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm not gonna lie. I felt very accomplished. Very
Yeah.
accomplished.
Yeah. All right. So what is it? Two truths and a lie?
Yes.
Okay, two truths and a lie. Okay. All right. Do y'all got y'all's? Carmen? Okay, Ray Danya, you go ahead.
I was hoping you say that before he starts to cry. Um, I love to swim. I got kissed by one of my favorite singers, and I rappelled down a 60-foot tower.
What do you mean you repelled? Like they like drew you down or something? I feel like that's the lie.
Yes.
No, I feel like that's the truth.
She's like, that's memorable.
Because what being Caribbean, you probably could swim. Because the first one was a swimming. You said
I
you could
thought it
swim.
was the opposite.
I love to swim. I rappelled down the 60-foot tower, and I got kissed by one of my favorite singers.
Oh damn. They all sound true. Like, um what you think? What y'all think? I don't know.
I think it's the propel.
The repel.
I'm gonna stay at the building one.
The repel. You say repel too?
Yeah.
Last guesses.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go with my girls. I'm gonna say repel.
The lie was that I love to swim. I don't know how to swim. And the kiss was Pitbull in the cheeks.
Yep, I
And I
remember
did
that.
down a 60-foot tower. I was in a military camp for a week.
Wow. Wow. Okay. All right.
That's crazy.
Okay.
I remember when Ray Danya and Pitbull kissed. Like literally, like you know how everybody, well, some people have like those celebrity fans and stuff like that. So ever since I met Ray Danya, like Pitbull, everything, Pitbull, everything. Like listen to the Pitbull and everything. And then she called me. She's like, "Oh my god!" She's like, "Look at your messages. Look at the pictures." Like yo, and I tell you, and it was like. I let Ray Danya tell his story, but it was like destiny the way they met.
Yes. So follow. It's all goes back to even to what we were talking about. Just follow your passions and speak it into truth. She knows I was obsessed with it. I was obsessed with also the Capitol Grill cheesecake. If y'all haven't went and gotten a cheesecake at the Capitol Grill, you don't even have to go eat dinner there. I don't care for the dinner, but the cheesecake at Capitol Grill is the best thing on earth. So I was adamant to tell that to my brother in Miami. I made them drive me to the Capitol Grill, Miami. I walked to the bar. The bartender ordered it. The bar was full. A random waiter dressed in all white walked up to me only, and he was like, "Yo, Pitbull's over there." Because I walked with tunnel vision. I wasn't paying attention to who was at the bar. I just wanted the cheesecake. And then I just looked to my left, and I was so nervous, but I went up there, asked for the picture, and that's how I went. Follow your dreams. You don't have tunnel vision. Just make sure you look at your surroundings.
And he kissed her. He was trying. Look, Ray Danya might have been Mrs. Pitbull. Like, he played her cards right. I told her to go in with the half shoulder. She didn't listen.
Well, did you at least get the cheesecake?
I got 2 cheesecakes and a nice kiss on the cheek.
She ain't wash her face for 2 weeks.
Girl.
I didn't want to, but I did.
I know you did. Yeah, you can't do that.
All right, Carmen, you got yours now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. What's yours? Two truths and a lie.
Okay. I go deep sea diving anytime I'm in Jamaica. One of my favorite things to do. I went to hair school and I spent quality time in the studio with Spraga Benz.
I'm gonna say you didn't go to hair school because me and Erica went to hair school. So, and I know you love Jamaica, and you probably was in Jamaica with Spraga Ben. So, I'm gonna say hair school. I think that's a lie.
It's funny because I feel like hair school would have been the lie for me too, but then I was like, oh, how cool would it have been if she did go to hair school? We would have had that in common. But yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go hair school, especially because Ginger knows you. So I
Well,
feel
I don't know.
oh, she don't know. Okay,
I
well,
don't know.
yeah.
I'm just gonna say hair
Well,
school, but
it
I don't
sounds
know.
like the lie. It sounds like the lie for me.
Yeah. Radania, what you think?
Um, I was gonna say she probably did go to hair school because the hair looks great. But now you got me all confused. But I'm gonna just stick to my first choice. I would say the third one was the studio. Yeah, I was gonna say the studio was a lie.
Okay. Carmen, drum roll, please.
So I can't swim. So I definitely don't go deep sea diving.
You know
And
what's funny? My initial gut told me because the moment you said it, you're like, I go deep sea. But when you added the little Jamaican,
Jamaica.
I was like, oh, maybe she ain't lie there. She ain't lie. I was like, look,
I know that's how I got y'all. But
you
this is
did.
how I know them four kids done took some of Siobhan's brain because me, her, and Erica went to hair school together.
Carmen, you was there too, bitch.
We was all there together.
They said, I don't know.
Damn,
Doing
Carmen.
banana curls, and then they used to come to my house, and I would be practice on each other when I
Damn, I
was
don't
with my
remember
mom.
that. Yo, what
Okay.
up? Damn, Carmen.
Yep.
Damn.
We was all there together. And
Yeah.
Spraga Ben, super cool. I met him in Brooklyn, New York. And he was having studio time and was like, come hang out. And I spent the whole night in the studio chilling with Spraga. I was like,
Hey,
What? That's
Amazing.
crazy.
that's fun. Okay.
That was a vibe, huh?
Yo,
That's
I'm gonna have
dope.
to go back and look at my pictures. I'm like, did we complete it
I didn't
together?
graduate.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I didn't take the test. I didn't take the state test.
Yeah, I didn't graduate. I went for, I never forget, I told y'all, if we go to school tomorrow and they still doing something, I don't know if it was banana curls or something like that. I said, if we get to school tomorrow, because it wasn't, that's not what we do. And I had a very closed mind. I'm only thinking about working with Black women. And what they was doing, we don't do. We don't get. So I said to y'all, if we go to school tomorrow and we still doing this, I ain't coming back. And we got to school and we were still doing that, and I never went back.
Okay. Okay.
But listen, I was excellent at them finger waves because we all learned that
Girl,
together. And I used to do finger waves on your head.
girl, listen,
And
listen.
I was excellent at them roller sets.
You couldn't tell. Roller sets was
You was roller set
everything.
queens.
Roller set queens. Just like Carmen, I thought I was only gonna do Black people. Well, I thought I was gonna do only roller sets. I ain't want to do anything else but roller set. I could hook up a roller set, girl. How your hair all full?
We was
Okay.
roller setting each other's hair every week, girl.
Look,
So it was.
nothing like
Okay.
a classic roller set, girl.
That is funny, and I'm like, Carmen, I don't. But now that you, I'm like, okay, I know you wasn't there the whole time because I'm like, I don't remember that. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
was like,
that
I'm
makes
out of here.
sense. Yeah, we had better things to do.
Which hair school was this?
It was
Live.
on yep, it was because it was it was across the street from the Prudential.
Yep, it no longer exists.
Yeah, it's
Learning
gone now.
Institute, beauty school, Libs. That was a
Okay.
long time ago.
And we used to
Long
eat
time
breakfast
ago.
at the poorhouse.
Yeah, because we went to Snowden. So the thing with Snowden is like it was a college campus type of high school, so you had to travel for classes. So you couldn't tell us nothing. Being from the hood and then going to school in Copley and Prudential, bitch, you shit fancy, huh? Girl, we was grown.
They wasn't ready for y'all. They wasn't ready.
At all.
At all, at all. Okay, so let me my two truths. My two truths and a lie. So, um, I I started driving at 14. Um, I am a fabulous grandmother, and um, my favorite color is green.
She
I
is
like
not a
you
grandma.
guys. Oh yeah, you could have did a little bit better.
You got no damn
I know I
grandkids.
couldn't think of shit.
The way you lied, I'm a fabulous. Like you can't lie for nothing. Oh my god.
I was trying to pull a Carmen. I was like, oh, they got. It's possible I could be a grandmother, have 4 kids. You know what I mean? Like,
And you wouldn't call yourself a grandmother.
I sure
Like,
would.
let's be real. You would probably, like she said, ma. I'm a ma.
Mom.
You know what? I should rebuke this, but whenever my children have kids, I think I want to be called Nami. Nami.
I like that. That's cute.
Yeah, I like that too. I forget what it means, but it has like a grandmother type of meaning or something.
Oh, okay. Okay. Love it.
Yeah. Damn, I gotta come up. That was a good one, but I'm like, damn,
You
Don't-
gotta have
just,
them in your back pocket.
just work on your lies. Look, work on your lies.
I gotta work on my
Like
lives.
their two truths either make them outrageous, like what are some things that are like people would be shocked to know about you?
And that's the thing. I don't even think I'm that interested. That's what I got to think. Cause I'm like, damn, I don't even think I'm that interested. Like, what's shocking? Like, I don't know. I think I'm bored. I don't know.
And then, or you could just make it normal stuff. Like when you said the color thing, I would just make them all normal stuff. So like, color, maybe like your routine or something, and then your family.
We're gonna do that next time. I'm gonna be prepared next time.
Look, next time it's gonna be a different game. So
Oh damn. Let's play that game again. Let's play that game
No, game. But thank y'all for participating.
Thank you. This was great.
For your time, for coming out, especially being a new mom. Like that is, we know the sacrifice that comes with that. All of us have sacrifices.
Oh my goodness.
Oh. He's like, it's time for my bath and all of that nighttime.
Yes.
Balance. I told myself for balance, 9 p.m. or so, shower so he can knock out.
Yes.
Bubble
bath time.
Yes. Everybody take their bath time right now. Yes. Like Jenny said, thank you, ladies, for coming on. This was such a great topic. Thank you for feeding my soul because I truly needed this. And I hope you ladies got something out of this. So I'm truly grateful and thank you so much. I really appreciate you, ladies.
Yes. And let me say too, thank you for holding this space. I was like, so excited to have this conversation because I'm like, I don't even know if there's ever been a time that I've really talked about motherhood and being a mother for so long. I don't have this space. So thank you for even opening the conversation for us to like really think about that.
Yeah, like I said, it came up in my therapy session and I realized like I love being a mother, but my motherhood experience wasn't the great and it wasn't the best. Like I don't have a great experience of being a motherhood, of being a mom. I love being a mother to my children, but the experience I had was just, it came with a lot of challenging. Yeah, it came with a lot of challenges, and it traumatized me to like I honestly don't even want grandkids, but if I have them, thank you God, but I ain't trying to watch nobody's kids. This is my time. I'm reclaiming my time.
I know that's right.
So thank you, ladies.
All right, ladies. Yes. Have a wonderful evening, Radanya. It was beautiful to meet you. And I know that you're going to be an amazing mom.
Thank you. So nice to meet you too. I'm glad we got to do this today. Thank you guys for having us.
Yes.
And we'll make sure that you guys are, if you're not already connected on Instagram and social media, we'll make sure that we'll make that connection happen so
Perfect.
we can all stay in touch and contact and what we're doing and stuff, you know?
Awesome.
Later,
Perfect.
ladies.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night. Recording.